Hello, world. This is your girl Polly A, and I'm hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
Before we actually jump into the EP, I want to jump into you working with Adam Levine and 222. How did that really come about?
It was quite serendipitous, I guess you can say. This person knew this person, that person knew that person. But long story short, I got to meet Julius Garcia, who is the president at 222. Okay. And so I sang for him. And then he introduced me to Jordan Feldstein, who's the head of 222, nice. And Adam Levine and Maroon 5's longtime manager. Right. And I auditioned for him in New York and sang my heart out, and he kind of just offered me a deal on the spot. So then later that day, I was getting text messages from Adam Levine like, yo!
So it happens that instant. You get signed, and automatically he's going to start texting you.
I guess so. In this case, it was like that. And then he happened to be in town performing at Madison Square Garden, so I got to go to the show and, see him perform. And, yeah, it was just awesome. Great. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. Now, with 222 Records, what have you liked so far? What have you liked the most so far?
So many things. I think that they just have a lot of great ideas. They really believe in the art and just actually, putting out great material, great content. Right. And it's not so much driven to just more superficial things. It's like they really support me because they think, they support my artistry. So It's just great to have that kind of support, where it's not like, you got to look this way, you got to talk this way, you got to be this. It's like, you're doing your thing, we love what you're doing, like, go do it,
And with that being said, supporting your artistry, what was it like going into the studio this time to record an EP under that label? Were you able to do anything you wanted, work with whoever you wanted? Were there any restrictions for you at all?
Actually, a lot of the stuff was already in motion. Like, I already had a lot of material. That's kind of the reason why it's coming out so relatively quickly. I was only signed last year, which is a short amount of time for a new artist to already have stuff out. Yeah. I was recording, I had a studio at home, and I was already, working on the album without a deal. So it kind of just, they were just like, yo, continue what you're doing, you know? But definitely in terms of just, whatever, if I have a crazy idea, they're always just down to help me materialize it, you know? So, yeah.
What about production, producers? I know you worked with various producers. Yeah. How did each producer really differ in the work that they provided for you?
Well, I mainly work with two producers. Oh, really, I only worked with two producers on this album. Okay. I've worked with other producers, but the songs that kind of, I kind of think that it's better to work with fewer people just to get a vibe going and get kind of a singular sonic thing, going. Right. So I worked with two amazing producers. One's name is Cinematic. He's the producer of the single Ghetto Gold Dream. And the other is another amazing producer named Gabriel Lamberth. He's on the come up. And the processes were pretty similar for the both of them. We're all friends, and I have a very close relationship with both of them just as friends. And we kind of are into the same music, and we vibe on the same, and we just like the same thing. So it's kind of just organic and natural going to the studio and creating with them, because it's just we're on the same wavelength already. Right. So yeah, we just go in and kind of freestyle and have fun. I mean, I tell people all the time, people go to the club, I go to the studio. That's my kickback. That's where I like to hang.
That's your Friday night.
That's my Friday night. So yeah, it was just real organic, real just. It's just easy, just natural. Now,
were there any challenges with these producers? Did they have you try new things that you've never tried before, whether it's new vocal renditions or new way of writing?
I mean, it's always new because, they're coming from their angle, they're coming from their perspective, and then I'm coming from mine. But I think we both have such a strong respect for what we bring to the table. Right. They know I've been a writer, I've been a songwriter for a minute, I've been a singer for a minute, and I have a very clear perspective on what I want to say, how I want to say it, how I want to present it. So they kind of let me do my thing. I kind of was in charge of the lyrics and the melodies and the vocal arrangements, and then they're kind of, in charge of the other part.
That's awesome for being a new artist. I don't think a lot of new artists really get that opportunity to still do whatever they want.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. I mean, I'm new, but I've kind of been here, right. Writing for other artists, and I've put out material on my own. But yeah, I'm still new, and it is a blessing to just have people support you like that.
Now, going into the studio, how different is Paulie A the writer for other artists as opposed to Paulie A the artist?
Paulie A the writer, well, Melanie Smith the writer. That's my government. You know, anytime you're supporting another artist, your job is to kind of help, you know, kind of birth it. You know, you're like the midwife, you know? So I kind of just allow that person, you have an idea and I want to take it to where everyone can relate to it. So I kind of just, like I said, I kind of like act as the doula in that situation. I help you birth that baby, peripherally. And then Paulie A, the artist, she's just in her own zone. It's all her. It's all unfiltered, her life, her experiences, how she reacted, how she would say that. Even if no one else says it like that, she's going to say it like that. You know what I mean? So it's the support thing when I'm with other people. And then for me, it's just like my unfiltered, raw vibe.
And since you're a writer, are you okay with the fact of having other co-writes in your projects, or do you prefer writing everything yourself?
I mean, I love writing with other people. I didn't write with anyone on this project, not for any reason other than I think for so long people saw me as the writer. So there's not as many people saying, hey, can I write with you for your project? I mean, I don't know if
you have everybody intimidated.
I don't know if that's the case. Or if it's just like I did have this, like I said, in my house. So I was already in my little bubble where I wasn't really going from studio to studio, meeting people and getting other people involved. I think this was just a personal kind of crusade for me anyway, just to like, sometimes you just got to get your own thing out that's just not really touched by anybody else. So but I'm open to writing with other people. I love the collaboration.
Yeah. Now with the tracks on this EP, can you talk a little bit about each track for the EP?
It's 5 songs. A lot of them are already out. Except for one. They were, you know, premiered from different outlets already. So yeah, the Ghetto Gold Dream is the single, and it was again produced by Cinematic, and it's just a special song. I knew when I wrote it that it would kind of, you know, I knew it was special as soon as I finished it, because it's kind of like an autobiographical, you know, slice of my life and how I see the world and how I see myself in it. And Ghetto Gold Dream is really that. It's just I come from, you know, humble beginnings like a lot of us, but I've been afforded a lot of great, you know, avenues and opportunities from like the schools I've gone to the people I've been able to work with. And I've just kind of had a very dream-like life. You know, for someone from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it's kind of like, it's kind of surreal.
This doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't happen. And that's kind of been the story of my life, you know. And then there's Brooklyn Sun, which is just like an up-tempo kind of tribal vibe. It's very raw, you know, very just, you know, explicit, just very grown folk business, you know. And it kind of just like deals with just relationships that we go through, you know. As an adult, it's kind of like a lot of unlearning happening with me in terms of what I've learned about love and, you know, this picturesque kind of mold that we're kind of sold as young people. Right. And then you get older and you realize, oh wait, there's so many layers to this. There's so many ways to navigate through this, you know, these love experiences. So it kind of just deals with that. And then Sing Along was written, that's the one song that's not out yet, and that it was written from the perspective of I was about to get signed before 222 happened. I was showcasing for another label who was super excited, and then the deal fell through, and it was written like 2 days after, where I was just like heartbroken and just like, because they play games with you in this business. Oh, yeah. They play.
It's a tough business too.
Oh man, they play games. Like they'll take you out to dinner. They'll have plans. They'll be like, oh, tomorrow I got to get up and figure out how to make you this, and then you won't hear from them again, and you're just like, what happened? So it was really like the words are just like, if you go, my heart will still know the words to every song. And I'll find you again one day. Maybe you'll sing along. And it's just like talking to those people who maybe didn't believe in me at one point. But, you know, maybe this will turn back around and then you'll see what my vision was and you'll understand. And you'll sing along to these songs that you didn't necessarily believe in.
It's funny because it's usually like the artists that get these kind of like situations with labels, they're the ones that labels end up wanting them back.
Yeah, so many people I know that story. I mean, so many people have been dropped and not, not signed by this label. Like Drake is a prime example.
Yeah.
He has a crazy story, but yeah. So hopefully
Well, I have one of your own.
Excuse me?
Now you have one of your own.
Yeah. And then the last two records, Like We Used to and Fire Fallen. Like We Used to was an up-tempo kind of just perfect for like a road trip, just feeling of love and excited about, the possibility of love. It's just kind of like a feel-good record. Right. And then Fire Fallen again is an ode to love record as well, a ballad, just like when I was in the throes of love. Way back when. When life was great and grand for me.
It sounds like the record has a little bit of everything. Is it hard to make a record like that, as opposed to like focusing on one specific genre or topic?
You know what it is? It's like you never know what you're gonna get out of that writing experience. You go into it just hoping to write a great song, and you know hoping that you can be in the moment enough to just be as honest and truthful and accurate about who you are and like what you are, so that you can kind of bring people in and make it universal. And I think it wasn't hard once you kind of pick a song that's gonna be the anchor. And for me, it was Ghetto Gold Dream. So it was like, okay, this is the song that I know is on the album, and I want to build a project around this. So
as being the anchor, was that the first song that you wrote?
For the album?
For the album?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first record. That's the first song. That's the oldest song. Yeah. So that was the one that was like, okay, this song is going to define this sound. And I think once you just have like that in mind and, a vision for it, and you crystallize that vision, it's not hard.
Right.
Yeah. It's like writing a novel. It's like you're just writing chapters to this novel that you know, and this is the meat of the novel. This is a short story from which the entire novel is gonna spawn. Right. So I kind of approach it like that.
So that being said, when we jump into an album, is it gonna be the EP gonna follow up the album? Like, yeah,
it's gonna. This is kind of like the half album, so to speak. So again, it's just a continuation of my thoughts, my perspective, my observations about the human condition, things of that nature.
A lot of research we're going to be doing on this record.
And a lot of anthropological, discoveries.
This is where the Ivy School student comes out.
Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah.
And speaking of school, you didn't go to an easy college, and you were still pursuing your music in between. Yeah. How were you able to balance those kind of schedules, especially like? Yes, I do.
So, this is how I go about life, people. Okay, it's all about for Columbia. In the case of Columbia, I was like, okay, I need to pick a major where I don't really have to go to class. So, which one of these majors does not have required attendance? Economics? Oh, I like money. Like, I can do that. Okay, let's do it. Because I've always been good at, like, cramming and just learning on my own. Right. So I just picked a major that I could just, like... That sounds so horrible. I hope nobody from Columbia watches this. This girl really just said that? Yeah, that's what happened.
Well, it worked. I mean, you graduated and you're here now with a record coming out.
You gotta play the game. Right. You gotta play it how you can play it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
I should have tried that when I was in school. I would have been doing this a lot sooner.
I kind of moved to New York knowing what I wanted to do, though. I was really using Columbia as just a way to be in New York, because who wants to go to Columbia? I mean, who wants to come to New York struggling with no money and no,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's not an easy place to live.
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to be in New York, and it sounds crazy. I didn't even really know about Columbia. I didn't know it was an Ivy League school like that. I was just like,
I'll just try this one out. It's all right, whatever.
I was like, you're in school in New York? Like, what school is that? Columbia? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try there. Like, I know it sounds like. Who am I? Like, who do I think I am? I don't know, but I've always just kind of been a manifester, I guess. Yeah. Like, just put it out there, and the universe will conspire on your behalf.
You've worked with many other artists as far as writing for them. Aside from J. Cole, did you get to work in the studio with anyone else, or were you just writing and then sending it their way?
Aside from a newer artist, Kat Dahlia, who I work with in the studio. But Alicia Keys and, Selena Gomez, Jordan Sparks, those were all records that I had written that they then got a hold of. Right. So yeah, it wasn't like that.
Like this, and the story with J. Cole was interesting because it was just right at the moment.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you? What did you really get out of being in the studio with J. Cole?
Man, he is such a humble dude. Like, he just kind of is a reminder of, like, yo, don't ever let anything get to your head. Like, he's so grounded, and he just is such a hard worker, and he just really believes in the music and the message, and he's just so passionate about that. And I just loved how he's just not phased, like, he just really takes it all in stride, and I think that's partially why he's so successful. He's just so relatable, but yeah, it was interesting because, I talk a lot about manifestation and, stuff like that, and that was kind of what connected us that night, because he was just like, today I woke up like with the idea of the power of yes, like the power of just being open. And he's like, people tell me all the time, they sing, they write, and he just kind of would brush them off. Right. But that day, because that day he woke up with that on his mind, he was open to me, and he was just like, all right, let me just see what she has, like, so it was just a fateful kind of thing, because we both were just like, I before was like, I'm going to manifest that, I'm going to see J. Cole, because I knew he was working next door, because the intern told me prior to, so I was like, I'm going to manifest that, he walks out and I tell him I sing, and I'm going to end up on his next single. And I just said it in jest. And then it
was a big single, too.
Yeah, it's like his biggest single to date. So it was just, it was kind of one of those, like, just fateful experiences that you can't really think of any other way, Words have so much power, and people say it's called spelling for a reason, because it's a spell. And you write things down, you say things, you put it out there. And I do believe that it is energy, it is intention that does come back, that you are speaking to a higher force that is listening. Right. So just be very careful, be very mindful of the words that you use and what you say, because they do have so much power.
Andre 3000, what does he mean to you?
Did you see my Instagram? I am like a little girl, like a little middle school, like, crush, like, gone wild. Like, it's horrible. And, like, I met his girlfriend, too, and she's so beautiful. I can't hate. Like, I want to take notes, teach me your ways, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But, no, Andre 3000 has been one of my favorite artists forever, and he's just so consistent, so consistently dope, and just very just classic, and very just like tasteful in how he does everything, and how he just is, like, I had never seen him in person before. That photo was taken. And so
it's like, I don't think he really exists until I actually meet him.
It was like he was like at the corner of my eye. And so we were at Epic Fest, which is like the festival for Epic, the label. So everybody there is like industry and super cool and too cool to really like trip on anyone, There's all these famous people.
But then there goes Pauly A.
But then there goes Andre 3000, who's like a celebrity among celebrities. So everybody was like little squeamish, like wanting a photo, and it was just me there too. Like, I'm seizing this moment too. Everybody else wants a photo. I'm getting a photo. And he could tell by the time I got my photo, he was like over it though. But whatever.
You should have started singing. Maybe you would have been on the track with him too.
Yeah, it's at Epic Fest. It's like, everyone there is talented. Everyone there has I don't know. It wasn't the right place. And I was again like super crush mode. I felt bad because this girl was right there, and I'm just like, dude, I am crushing on your man right now. Believe that.
Well, half the dream happened already. We'll wait for the other half later on, maybe.
I'm just trying to work with you, Andre. If you ever see this, yes, I mean, you're a beautiful spirit, soul, great. I know that, but if you ever do see this, you know what I'm saying? I think we would make some pretty awesome music.
To wrap this up, you're going on tour pretty soon, running the East Coast. Any plans for West Coast?
Oh, not yet. Although I do have a show in Vegas for New Year's Eve, opening for Maroon 5. This is an exclusive.
Nice.
You heard it here first, folks. But yeah,
I have to be there.
Yeah, you do.
You have +1?
You want to be my +1?
I'll be your +1.
+1, babe. New Year's Eve, dropping the ball.
Oh, snap.
Who's going to be there?
Oh,
no.
snap.
Yeah, so I'm going to Canada and then the East Coast, but yeah, not the West Coast. Hopefully, this tour goes well. Right. Anything can happen.
And this is your first time as Pauly A on tour?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear all about it afterwards.
Thank you. I'm excited to just experience it. C'est La Sue, I'm going out with this amazing artist, C'est La Sue, who's a Belgian artist, and her vibe is super dope, kind of similar. We have some similarities, just kind of laid back kind of thing, and I'm just excited to share the stage with another powerful woman, right. Female power. I'm all about that.
Nice.
So
It'll definitely be a good tour. I feel it.
Yeah, I do too.